It's Mario Lloyd, also known as Real Estate Guru PK, with the Realist Podcast. On the Realist Podcast, we talk about how to make a dollar, how to keep a dollar, and we touch on hot topics. We're launching my Patreon with my whole real estate portfolio, and you're also going to get the podcast before it goes out on all the platforms. You can find me on Instagram at Real Estate Guru PK. You can find me on YouTube at Real Estate Guru PK. And you can find my podcast on Instagram, The Realist Podcast. How y'all doing? Welcome to another episode. We got a special guest.
Yes, sir.
We got Mr. JB.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Man, I love to be here, man. Thank y'all for having me today, man. I'm doing good. It's one of them days, but I'm doing good. Yes, sir.
How's life in Houston in real estate?
Man, I tell you, it's always a good thing in real estate. No matter the challenge, red flags or whatever, I would never not say is lovely. You understand? Because I preach and constantly tell people, don't let a red flag stop you. Keep you stagnant, Doc. So, you know, if you ask me the question, I'm a little biased. It's always a good thing in real estate. You know what I mean? So that's why it is. Yeah.
So how'd you start? How you start in real estate? Like who'd you meet? Like what happened? What transpired that made you hop into real estate?
Man, I tell people all the time, just like answering that first question, is you in real estate if you know it or not. You know what I mean? You're affected by real estate. And I remember, you know, I'm a third generational carpenter and concrete specialist. So when I was coming up, it looked gravy to be a street dude, or it looked gravy to be an athlete. It looked gravy to be every other profession than a tradesman. You know what I mean? That was looked down upon if you was doing construction or had to work with your hands or do a plumber type of work and things like that. But my old man, he did construction. My grandfather did concrete work. He taught my daddy the concrete side of the business. My daddy taught himself the framing and other areas of the business. And then I tell people all the time, man, things are not always taught. It can be caught. And so with him bringing me on the job site and just working as a young man, I didn't realize, you know, how much I caught when rubber hit the road and my back was against the wall. I went to what I knew. You know what I mean? And so to survive, I started taking audience jobs and things like that and start doing parts of construction. And then that elevated me to get into the game of when I learned the term of what real estate was. So I knew construction, and then I got introduced to real estate.
So what part of construction were you doing?
Man, I did it all, man. When I, working with my old man, we did everything from doing add-ons to concrete, pouring slabs to doing flat work, driveways, sidewalks and things like that. And then we even built homes, and we built, my dad built the first big 2-story house in Acres Home, and so that's kind of my upbringing, seeing him. But a lot of people didn't understand, like, we had the biggest house, but we would all stand in one room with no carpet and nothing like that, because as he would get jobs and things like that, he'll invest in his own home and start building. So the exterior was amazing, but the inside, it took a little time for that thing became solid and stuff like that. But just seeing that progression, seeing somebody having a goal, sticking to the goal and getting to the finish line was just my upbringing and things like that. But working with your hands is all I knew. Grinding and being a go-getter is what I seen from Acres Home. So I use that understanding in my journey to get into the game of real estate. Yeah.
Do you currently work on your own houses, or you leave that to your contract?
Man, I tell people all the time that some people think it's a benefit of having a construction background. But unfortunately, man, to be honest with you, that was kind of the learning curve to scaling my business to where it is now and to where I want to go, is trying not to be on site and trying not to get my hands dirty, trying not to make everybody do it the way I want it to be done and things like that. Or, spending a lot of time focused on that when I could be spending my time investing on scaling our business and things like that. And so that was a learning curve for myself and my team and my father and everybody that's been a part of it, who has those skills of being a tradesman, and how you elevate your business from a hustle into a full-blown business that's scalable. You know what I mean? And so that's where we're growing. So to answer your question, man, I would say 60-40, you know what I mean? 80-20, just depending on the day, man. So, but I tell everybody, man, I build, I don't get caught up into selling this game of real estate. I get more caught up into what I'm doing and selling myself as a tool to be utilized for everybody else. Man, I love what I do. It's my passion to be on the site. I'm a true at heart tradesman, man. And so I love to get dirty and make sure it's done. I don't go onto the job site and be pointing and paying and tell people, hey man, you need to do that. If it's some trash on the ground, if something need to be swept or something need to get fixed, you might find myself doing it. And then somebody will pick up the tool. Hold on, JB, let me get it done or whatever else. And so that's normally how my day go, man. Start on the job site and then I end up in the office. Yeah.
So I just want to say that I'm fascinated by your accent. I'm fascinated by your accent.
Accent? Hold on, I got an accent.
So I'm from LA. I just moved here, so I'm not from here. So I probably hear it more than anybody here.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
I know you said you were from Acres Homes.
Yes, ma'am.
What was that like growing up, and how did that affect you today or help you become who you are today?
Well, my family, most of my family is from Louisiana, and they migrated from Louisiana to Fourth Ward to Acres Homes. So my grandmother was the pioneer. My daddy and them was all born in Louisiana, Rayne, Louisiana. And so they migrated from Port Arthur to Fourth Ward. And then she bought a home in Acres Home. And so people don't understand, if you go back in our history of Houston, Houston originally, back during the slave trade and things like that, if you start researching the history, had more African Americans than it had any other culture here because of the slaves and things. But most of them migrated from Fourth Ward, which was Freemanstown, and then went to different settlements. And Acres Home was one of those kind of pitched to them as the promised land, where you can go out there and have big, size lots and then kind of do your own thing and become an entrepreneur. So growing up, man, I was faced with that, man, where everybody that I knew was some go-getters, you know what I mean? But we weren't exposed to too many different professions, but street stuff or people just working with their hands, mechanics or in construction and things like that. But one thing they did was they're going to go out there and go get it. Now, it's a country background and things like that. So yes, we known for the horses and everything else, but we also known for what they used to call us the hubcap takers or something. What I mean is by going to get it by any means necessary. Right. And so with that understanding, with that concept in life, man, I wouldn't say it was hard, because I've been in some areas where I was like, man, I've been truly blessed. You know what I mean? And then I remember you talk about California. I remember when I first went to California, and they was telling me, man, don't go over there to Watson. Don't go over there by Crenshaw. And I was like, man, this the hood? Man, you mean you see all these rolling hills and palm trees? This the hood? Man, I was like, bro, this ain't no hood. You know what I mean? And they was like, nah, bro, this the hood. Man, I say, man, let me take you back to Acres Home to these shotgun highs and these trails and the ditches and stuff like that. And so, but, I'm still blessed, man, because even today, though I have the means to stay in other areas and things like that, I appreciate the independence that you receive of being in the area where you can be self-dependent. It doesn't have HOAs and things like that these other communities that you would get into that would kind of stagnate you and things like that. But if you want to be wealthy, and now Acres Home is considered the Gilligan's Island. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is that the people in the hood may be trying to come up with different types of things and looking crazy, trying to get out the island and everything else, and everybody else trying to get on the island thinking it's a paradise. You know what I mean? And so you're seeing a lot of new people that are coming in droves, purchasing the land, developing the land, and staying. And I saw this Caucasian guy driving a tricycle down the thing in the dead end. I was like, hold on, homeboy. Times are changing, man. And so, yeah, that's what we're getting. But thank you.
How you feel about regentrification?
Man, I tell people, man, gentrification, man, is only in our conscious as a bad thing. Change gonna come, brother. Right. Change gonna come. The problem is that we don't take access to ownership. And unfortunately, I made the same mistake in thinking ownership was meaning like you got to own this and do this here and things like that, and you could truly own something. But then you find out as you get older and you grow, it's all about dominion and control. You see what I'm talking about? Is that because even if you own a house, you never really own it because you got to pay taxes. And until they change that law and everything else, it's about control. And so I think a lot of times is we are cool with having a renter's mentality or not really taking a leadership position so that we can have the controlling factor to make decisions wherever we call home. You know what I mean? And so I believe that we have to do that at home first and then try to take over, some other lands and continue to walk in our dominion, man. And we have the power and we have the plays and we have the resources really to do that, Doc. We just don't take advantage of it.
How you feel about Gen Z? They rather rent than to own their property. How you feel about that?
No, I think that's cool. And that's a good question, bro. You've been exposed to this game. Look at you, man. Go ahead. Yeah. So, man, the concept of renting and versus ownership, like I said, it's about management. Mm-hmm. And if you are in a position to manage your assets, and it depends on what do you consider an asset or a liability. Back in our day, our parents would purchase a home and they would purchase based on a mindset that they're going to be in this property for maybe 15 years or plus. You know what I mean? In our day, we have forgot about, and the new generation forgot about the starter home. So we are looking at this mansion and this pie in the sky, but forget about the steps that it takes to get there. And so, yes, you can do the same thing with rent you can do with a condo, and still have ownership and build it and use it as an asset. So you gotta, create the mindset first of changing the liability into an asset. And so if you do that, then you can do that as an owner using condos and then using house hacking and renting and things like that versus just renting out. But I do believe that game is on a different level. And I tell people all the time, good information in the wrong season can be detrimental. So you listening to a cat that's talking about, hey, you should rent and you should do this, but this is a multi-millionaire, billionaire and stuff. So he has rental units that he doing, but he has a portfolio of multifamily homes and things. And so he preaches that. That's good information, right? But it could be in the wrong, that information to somebody who's starting off could be wrong and things like that. But you can be in high school and purchase your first rental property. You understand that you can utilize to, as an asset on your net sheet and things like that to go out there and get more loans and things like that. Or you can stay in that thing and then sell it and go down to the next phase and stuff and build on that capital and stuff. And so a lot of people don't understand that. It's just you have to be exposed to this game.
So when you start off, you was buying your houses cash, like with your own cash?
Yes.
You wasn't using no hard money lenders or nothing like that?
Man, I had, and I'll be honest with you, I'm the ultimate red flag. When the red flags cat. When I got started, man, I had no money in the bank. I was fired, going through a divorce, bad credit, 400 credit score, barely a little change and everything else. But I had a hustle about myself. And so I remember my old man, and I had a little bit of the construction background, but God had blessed me to get also new exposure into kind of the mortgage side of business, you know what I mean, of this business and stuff. And I used to work with NACA, the Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America, as a nonprofit loan officer, right? And so kind of getting exposed to that just opened my mindset of doing this game of real estate from an investment perspective, right? And so I remember I wrote on a piece of paper and thing my plan, start doing research, start going to some of these like guru classes and kind of looking them up and things, and they kind of giving me the game a little bit about, looking at, purchasing properties and purchase houses for flip, because flipping was real big at that time. And then a cat told me that was working with me, it was about a hard money loan. And he was like, man, there are banks out here that'll give you hard money based on the deal versus, not versus your credit. And I'm like, man, you gotta be lying. I say, man, stop with the bug count. You cats always coming trying to hustle somebody. But man, I went to this class and they still have those classes today. Man, they have a real estate, like a union, I don't want to say not a union, but like a governing body, a real estate class that comes every month that has in Houston and stuff. And I would go to that class. It's just like a networking event that they would do. And they would talk about things as a game of real estate from an investor perspective. And they was talking about these hard money loans. And there was a loan, a company called Jet Lending. And I was like, okay. So the dude was saying, hey, man, we'll give you based on the deal and based on the ARV, we'll give you 70%. And then we don't look at your credit score, we look at the actual deal. I was like, man, this dude lied. You know what I'm saying? But I went to my old man and I saw boarded up houses in Acres Home. So this is back in 2015, right? So I'm looking and I'm coming back to the hood and I'm seeing these houses where when I was growing up, you couldn't imagine that it would be like, you know, I want to say about 9 people in that house. And this is a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. And it's boarded up now. And I'm looking at it thinking about buying it. But back then, man, I used to eat cheese over spaghetti, you know, in these houses, dealing with my partner kicking over there. And now I have an opportunity. And I couldn't imagine these houses was that small, but had so many people in there living and was cool. It wasn't even like it was a situation or that they was living in poverty and stuff. And so that kind of understanding kind of flipped me to it. But I went to my old man and said, what makes you an owner of a property? And he said, man, you just gotta, and this is my old man, this is how our elders talk. He said, man, get a quick claim deed. You just buy the house, get a person cash, and you can write a quick claim deed, go down the street to Mr. Henry, he'll draw up the paperwork and notarize it for you, and you file it down there. I said, okay. So, man, I went and did the research and find the dude's name was Devil. And this is how I bought my first house on Sealy Street in Acres Home, man. I gave the dude $8,000, did a quick claim deed, and bought the house, Doc. And so I went to the investment club meeting that you was talking about. The dude was still presenting this hard money loan and all this other stuff and everything. And I was like, man, I was telling the dude that was sitting next to me, and he was like, man, I said, man, I bought this house, man. It's $8,000 and everything else. Now, the money I got, the $8,000 was from just doing little odd end jobs and stuff, and I'm stacking my money, and I actually paid the dude payments on the thing, right? So I ain't give him $8,000 all at once. I'm, you know, talking to him and really just convincing them and everything. They wouldn't, the house was all boarded up and just sitting there now, right? And so the dude I was talking to at the investment club, I said, man, I think I'm gonna need about $30,000 and I do all the work on the property. And I said, yeah, so I'm gonna do some work, and I'm giving him the game like I'm finna do this. He said, man, I got $30,000 in credit cards or whatever. Why don't you bring me in on this? I say, man, you playing. I said, because I come from the school where ain't nobody just gonna partner with you to do things, or I didn't even think of it like that. You know what I mean?
So you didn't know him at all?
Man, like I'm talking to you. We just talking, chopping it up, asking questions, listening to the same people. I'm telling him I got a property. He telling me, man, I'd be willing to invest with you if that's what you're trying to do. If that's what we're doing. I got credit cards. Can that help you? And that's how I got started, right? And so while we was getting started, it took way more than $30,000. We end up going to Jet Lending and asking them, could they give us a loan on property? Man, and the people was right. The people right. You can use hard money to do the remodel of the property and things like that. They said they would even gave us money up front to purchase the property. And it just blew my mind. So I saw a house down the street. I was like, hey, man, when y'all giving them money? Man, them people gave, I was able to buy the lot, the house, no money down, no money out of pocket, and everything with a hard money loan and everything else. This house was $15,000 and stuff, and they rolled in the repairs and everything else. So while I was working on the first house on Sealy on Cathcart, I bought the other house with the hard money loan and stuff.
What was the year?
This was 2015.
This is just 2015?
Yeah, 2015. I bought 23 houses that first year, man.
Wow.
Right, just hustling, grinding, and ignorant. You know what I mean? And so let me tell you this part. Because my old man gave me the game about the quick claim deed, when I went to Jet Lending, it wasn't that they wouldn't give me the loan. It was that I didn't even really own the property. The dude told me, man, well, quick claim deed ain't give you no ownership. So my old man was wrong. I'm like, I felt like the water bar on, what's the name? We're talking about Gula Abagata or something on there. I was like, hold on, my mama ain't wrong, Negro. You know, so I was like, no, it can't be. So the man told me is that in the state of Texas, a quick claim deed is only used like if me and her is married and we get into a situation, I want to get her off of the deed, right? So I would utilize a quick claim deed to get your name off of the deed. I didn't realize that the only deed that's insurable is like a warranty deed or a special deed or something like that. So I'm learning the game as I go. So I had to get all that corrected. Thank God the dude was still alive, that I could have went to him and kind of corrected the paperwork and stuff. But just learning that, I had bought a couple of other properties just on the same game of, hey, man, let me give you a couple thousand, you know what I mean, that was in the hood and things. And all of them was quick claim deeds. And so basically, man, what I'm telling you is that good information in the wrong season can be detrimental. It took me 2 years to recover from the 2015 deal. Because I'm listening to Robert Kiyosaki and all these cats talking about get doors, get rental income. So I'm buying and flipping houses, but I'm holding them, and I didn't have the wherewithal to maintain them. So the amount of money I was making, I was spending way more money out with these renters trying to evict them. They know the game better than me. Dope fiends in the property, smoking and burning the house down. The laws coming over there, putting the Department of Labor coming and putting these signs out there. The yards needing cut, like the maintenance and everything else, man, it was really detrimental. And so it took me 2 years to recover from that, to sell them off, to do different things and try to recover from that. But I learned that lesson. Yeah, so that's what I thank God that he took me through that season. So now I didn't realize how much of that game I'm utilizing now. When people come to me, I can already express to them how they can get out of their situation and stuff. And that's what they get with JB Thibodeau Homes and Properties. Yeah. That was that little promo I threw in there. Yes, sir.
I love your story because it's like you made a lot of mistakes, but then you learned from those mistakes and were able to pretty much build your empire today. So
absolutely.
I think that's inspiring to people who just want to start a business in general, because you will make mistakes. I think a lot of people don't start because they're afraid of making those mistakes.
I learned that from my lawyer. I was dealing with a lawyer situation today, and I tell people it was my first situation, man, of being sued in my business, man. And my lawyer went up to, and I was so embarrassed and everything else. And I was telling him about the contract paperwork. We didn't do it right. And it was on a JV deal and things like that. And he said, man, this is a part of business. He said, man, I want you to take the time. And my lawyer, he said, just sit out here in the vestibule or whatever in this courtroom and look at how many people walk in and out. And it was a lot of other people that didn't look like me. And he said, man, that's what you'll let you know their business. This is how they resolve their business dealings in the courtroom and things like that. So don't think you're doing anything outside of business, because that's a part of it. We got into this thing and we call it scamming. We call it other things. We so hard on our people today that if they are having challenges or growing in their business, we already want to call them out, get on social media, tell them they did this and stuff. But man, I appreciate people who can accept constructive criticism, be humble enough to grow in it, but have the mindset to get to the finish line. And that's what I mean about red flags are going to come. But what are you going to do? You know, when you're presented that red flag, are you going to stop and stay stagnant? Or are you going to examine the situation and then keep on going and make a decision? Or are you going to go straight or to the left or the right? And that's what you need in this game of business. Because real estate is the game of you can do everything right and still something can come up wrong. So what you going to do?
Have you ever felt like quitting?
Always. I mean, every other month, man, things don't come, bro. It's everybody. I can go, and most people right now, if you go get a real estate course, they're going to teach you how to hustle. They're going to teach you how to do a deal. But once you realize that a deal is possible, who going to teach you how to scale a true business? And so that's why I said that during that time when everybody was teaching about building doors and getting properties and holding them, I never saw a course that taught me how to scale a true business. And so like you asked me before, man, I never realized, and I'm telling you right now, I graduated at MacArthur High School, man. Out of Makers home, they bust us all the way to the other side of town, and I call it Atlanta Chacho and stuff like that. Like, I loved it and everything else, man. I grew up, you know what I mean, in MacArthur, but I walked across that stage and body rocked and everything because I was happy that God blessed me to graduate, you know what I mean? So I'm not the sharpest pencil in the bunch, you understand? But I can tell you this here, that I will get to the finish line. And with that understanding is that, man, you got to push through. You got to push through. You got to make sure that you maintain your stagnant and be able to get to the finish line the best way you can by any means necessary. That's it.
Okay. It's like, it seems like everybody's trying to get in new construction nowadays. You notice that? That's like the new wave.
Man, I think that the market is driving that. You know what I mean? And so the thing is that I did a project, man, with Jet Lending too. When I first purchased the house through Jet Lending with the hard money, man, I examined the house. I did all my numbers with the house, and I would have did the remodel, and I think I would have came out $50,000, right? But then I realized, I was like, man, you know, the lot is 70 foot wide. It's 130 foot deep. I said, man, I can split this lot in half and do 2 houses over here, man.
Mm-hmm.
But Jet Lending didn't do new construction. So a lot of lenders during this time of 2016, 2017 didn't even really do new construction. Then you got to understand, in the areas that we were building in, there was not enough comps. People was thinking I was crazy when I was doing new construction in Acres Home, because there was no new construction properties out there to be able to get the lending or comparables that you need to determine the value of the property and stuff. So there's a lot of variables that you don't realize that is affected in this game of real estate, because we only being taught just the game of getting that hustle done, right? And so, man, when I did that project, I was like, man, I didn't even tell Jet Linden. I was like, man, I'm not finna do this flip. I'm gonna tear this house down. But when I'm told, man, here come COVID and everything else. So everything that could have happened, Doc. And so I ended up learning the game of replatting. Now I call it pocket development, you know what I mean? Where I split the property up. And I had to do that all on my own, because Jet Linden, once they found I tore down the house, they was like, hold on, man, you can't get your construction draws and all this stuff like that. So you need to show me the plan. And once I showed them the plan and showed them I'm replatting, I showed them, man, I could do 2 properties and stuff. They was like, okay. Jeff and them was like, okay, let me see what you got. So I told them slab off and everything else, pulled both of the slabs on that. And then they was like, okay, yeah, we'll come in with the draws and everything. We see what you're doing. And I learned that part of the game is that despite whatever they tell you in their rules and regulations, man, if you have the wherewithal and the mindset, you don't know what people would do until you present it to them. You know what I mean? And that's the part where I was saying is that, they'll teach you the hustle, but scaling that business is a whole different muscle. You know what I mean? And so you got to develop that muscle to say, okay, let me add these tools. When should I, when I get all this money, you first got to go through the understanding of what is money. You know what I mean? And you think you got a bunch of money, then come find out, man, your bills get more and everything.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And you be like, oh man, I thought I had some money. I ain't really got nothing. You know what I mean? And so all that is part of that growth in business of being an entrepreneur and things like that. And so I find myself doing that and then learning as I go. And whoever would tell you in this game that they know it all, I run from them folks. Yeah, I run from them. Yeah, so yes, sir.
Have you ever experienced races, like when you need your permits? Are you
Always. Man, I tell people, and I say that all the time, man, listen, there it is true. You will go to a bank, or just like these cats will tell you about the different strategies and plays that you can utilize as an entrepreneur. To be honest with you, man, you may be getting scrutinized depending on how you look, how you walk into the building, how you keep your documents, how everything else. It would maybe scrutinized different than other people of different races, the way they look and everything, and how you carry yourself. I had to learn that. You know what I mean? I literally would have my little bag, and this was just recently. So in 2015, I paid everybody cash. On my job, all my guys love me because I'm just used to paying cash, because that's how I wanted my bread when I work. I was like, look, pay me cash. I'm going to give you this deal. I won't care. I don't want no checks. I don't want nothing. So my guys, so I'm sitting there with $20,000, $30,000 on the job site with my pistol and everything in my truck, just ready, you know what I mean, with cash. It wasn't until my homeboy said, man, you don't have to start utilizing credit cards and checks, man. What kind of businessman is you? I didn't think about it. You know what I mean? And so just those simple things you don't know, but I start growing. So when I went to the bank, I'm thinking the cat hulling me out. And the bank loan officer, I'm thinking he hulling me out to tell me, man, where your paperwork at? Where your profit and loss statement at? I'm like, oh man, you a racist. You know what I mean? Come to find out, he was just asking for the regular paperwork. Now that I have grown in business and see different loan products, I do see the difference in underwriting. I do see files as being more scrutinized than others, and I believe that that's racism. I did see when my property got appraised versus my other partners and things like that, properties get appraised from other complexions and other races and stuff, and how they wouldn't scrutinize on their stuff. So that's just part of the game, man. And so again, it's back to the mindset. Are you going to let that stop you, or are you going to try to figure out how to get over that hurdle? And that's it, man. And so, yes, all of the factors, if you want to look for those whammies, you will find it. You know what I mean? In this game. But then what you going to do when you find it? That's it. Yep.
So basically, you never stop learning.
I would never stop. And I think that as you grow, you know, you will learn, because there's always going to be a bigger honcho, you know what I mean, that's out there doing it better. And I think that every project you want to get more efficient and do the things better. And then it's human nature. You know what I mean? Things are going to come. Things will be surprises. There will be unforeseen things in any type of development, even if you're doing the infield development. Pocket development is what I specialize in. So I think that that's where I start getting a lot of exposures, when I start showing cats this pocket development thing, because a lot of people weren't doing it at that time. And I learned that being cheap. You know, with that deal I was telling you about with the jet lending and stuff. And so I think that part has grown based on doing the deals. You're going to learn from every deal of how can I do this better to make more money? You know what I mean? And so, unfortunately, I think though, with that, we teach our people that the way you make more money is cutting out the middleman. So they'll go and teach you how to build, and everybody now wants to be a builder, right? Or want to get into the game of real estate. So the first thing they say, okay, I want to learn how to build. So I don't need no GC. That's the way they feel that they save money. But that's teaching you how to be, if you don't need a GC, you might as well be the plumber, the framer, the concrete guy, the trash guy, everything else. Then, you know, you're not going to be able to maintain that way. You think you'll make more bread, but you lose time and you will lose focus by you doing all the work and stuff like that. So you have to find a middle ground where you can learn to delegate and build on in order to scale. That's it. Yeah.
When you first came in here, you said it was like a bad day or one of them days. Like, what does that look like for you? What did you mean by that?
Man, I started off with a mediation, a court mediation. Like on one of my cases, man, like I told you, one of my deals or whatever else on a project or whatever. Actually, this lady was an employee of mine, and I brought her in on the deal, and I gave her more money, and she ended up trying to sue me because she wanted more money. And man, I tell people all the time about these lawsuit type of thing. While I'm learning this court stuff in the game, it's not about wrong or right. It's about what are you willing to take before you consider a loss. And what I mean by that is that, man, this case been going on for 3 years. And if I could have settled with her a long time ago and let that money, but I took it personal. I took it like, dang, girl, I ain't owe you no money, and did it. And I end up settling with her that told her I'd give her $17,000. You know what I mean? Just to go on by the deal so I don't want to have to go to court. Now, we supposed to be going to trial on October, but they keep throwing frivolous, fake, all kind of stuff. But man, the amount of money I done spent on these lawyers, and then what she done spent and what I would have spent to go to trial, it was more of a business decision for me to do that decision. On top of that, while I'm on the mediation Zoom call, I'm getting calls from my deals. Man, we got 22 active projects throughout Houston right now. So I'm getting calls from customers who are closing because my team closing deals and stuff. So we celebrating on one video while I'm texting and stuff, and they giving me a shout out that they getting over the hurdle. Then on another one, I got my project manager talking about, man, this customer complaint. You know what I mean? So it's one of those days. And so, but I'm thankful to be here. You know what I mean? And so I appreciate being with you guys. Yes, sir.
How you cope with stress?
Man, look here, man. I came in here tipsy. Did y'all see me leaning? Nah. I'm on that drink, man. Nah, I'm just messing with you. No, man, that part, I think is a person said, man, I'm a believer, bro. And this thing here is a faith journey for me. And that's why I was telling you, man, I'm not the sharpest. But one of the things that I will make a decision that I know where my blessings come from, and it come from the Lord Jesus, man. And God blesses me, man. He gets me with good people like this cat in the corner over here is a blessing to me. You guys and stuff, being exposed to different people and things like that. I'd be humble enough to just pick up game. So as much as people be interviewing me, I'm learning y'all. You know what I mean? And trying to figure out how we in this best facility right here looking good, how we doing this, you know what I mean? And then put that as a part of my tool belt to grow. You know what I mean? And so that go along with just like really learning to trust him, not taking everything personal, kind of alleviate some of that stress for me, man. Working out and then getting on that good Hennessy. You know what I mean?
I didn't know people
After
still
that,
drink Hennessy.
What you think? I asked for that cognac in the bougiest cup. Yeah. Might stick it in if I need to. Nah,
Right.
yes, man, we got it. I love that Hennessy, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. But
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that. So, besides Acres Home, what other what other wars you deal with?
Man, I build all over Houston right now. It's not a neighborhood that pretty much we haven't built in or done a project in right now. So the services I provide, I'm a full service real estate developer and construction company, man. And so you come to me with a concept and I'm gonna give you the keys. So I'm gonna take you from just concept to keys. So you come to our program and stuff, we're gonna set you down. Most builders like myself or my peers don't do the pre-construction side. So you come to me and everything that you need to get you from an idea to a completed project, no matter the size of the project, I have under one roof and I take full responsibility for that thing. So you save time, you save money, and you have a trust system that's built in that because you only got one man that got to answer for everything. You know what I mean? And so with that being said, that helps me navigate in this system to grow and stuff. And so now it's a logistical nightmare to operate in Houston, man. When I first started off, we had a project on the south side in South Acres. Man, to go to that project, I get stuck every time just to battle with traffic coming up 288 and everything else. So now with my project managers and stuff like that and the way we do our system, we have teams that work on the south side and the north side. So we in South Acres, we do a lot of development out there. We're going to be doing the biggest and baddest duplex in Third Ward. We call it the $1 million duplex. You know what I mean? And so we got a project over here, like over there by Rice Village. We've done things in Sugarland. We got a lot in Acres Home. We got it in City Gas and Fifth Ward and things like that. And so wherever as a developer, you know, realtors talk location, location, location. Developers talk whatever the location I'm going to develop, whatever the market, I'm going to get those indicators and develop towards the market. And that's what we teach and also utilize in our program and what we do. Yeah.
What if they like in Louisiana or Dallas or? Yeah.
So we statewide, man. You know, I get people from out of town who utilize our program and things like that and utilize our services in this area. We were considering doing projects in Louisiana and things like that, but man, based on logistic wise and stuff, we're going to take over Texas. We got a project in Austin, Beaumont. We got some projects coming up in Dallas and stuff, but man, if you take over Texas, you know what I mean? That's like you taking over one of these countries. The economy is ranked in the top 10 in the world. So you know what I mean? And so my goal is to develop our brand, develop this business, and one day ring that bell when they do the Texas Stock Exchange. And I bring this hat and throw this hat over there. Then you'll be really talking I'm country because I'm going to talk some cash. Hopefully I can cuss in this song. When I'm going to bring my Hennessy bottle on the dang on Stock Exchange. You know, so yes, absolutely. We'll do that.
So how do you keep track of all of these projects?
Man, we have project management software. Man, we have grown. That's why I said it. I can't tell you. Listen, my name is on this shirt and on the door, but I got a hell of a great team. And none of us have no MBAs or nothing like that. But what we have is a mindset and a wherewithal. We unify. We gonna fight. We gonna cuss everybody. I do the most cussing. We gonna fight. But iron sharpens iron. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my team. And one of the things that we created is we created a system so that anybody that's a novice that wants to get into the game, they can come and we give them tangible game plan that they can have in the book. And then we have project management software called Builder Trends that we give them a client portal. And in that client portal, I got a camera of most of my projects on my phone that I can just be looking and seeing what everybody doing. I got all the documentation just through my app and everything like that through my projects. And so I can see my costs. I got a accounts manager and team that does the accounts, to do the draw schedule, that deals with the banks and stuff like that to make sure invoices are paid and that our clients and our subs are paid. And then I have my admin team that helps our clients to get through the permitting process on the beginning stage. And they do that all at the office. So, yeah.
How does your wife help you out?
Absolutely, man. My wife has been a jewel, man, and she has been as she has gravitated to the business and everything. We kind of started over, man. I got some chachos at home, man. I got my kids. We just started off. Well, I don't want to say we started over. So I got 2 kids that's under 3, and they first language is Spanish.
For real?
Man, listen here, man. I don't know no lick of Spanish. My wife don't either, but my nanny done taught them Spanish. And so I listen to Lala Voca and all these old Spanish cartoons when I get home, and they talk and call me Papi, you know what I mean? And we talk to them through a translator and things like that. But that's part of our journey. And so from my wife has transitioned as our real estate agent, and now she's becoming a subject matter expert when it comes down to finding the right deals for us and stuff like that, and helping our clients find the right deals so they can maximize their return on investment. And so she works with us. She created her own real estate company, and it's Thibodeau Realty Group. And so she has really just been picking up the game. So she sells our own personal portfolio. She helps our clients by reducing their payments or reducing their their costs to listing their properties by giving them reduced rates for our clients and things like that if they want to utilize her service. And so, man, yeah, she's a part of our team to help us scale and grow, Doc. You need that team. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you met your wife, was she already a realtor?
Hell no. Can I cuss? No.
No.
Man, one of the things, man, I think that, I don't mind being an open book, man. I've been married multiple times, you know what I mean? But one of the things that has blessed me, man, is that I think that everybody, the best decision that you can make is finding the right mate. You know what I mean? Taking your time and finding the right mate. Being an entrepreneur can be challenging. You know, part of our testimony, when she met me, I was starting over. Like I said, I had bad credit and everything else. I was staying in one of these town suites with a basket of clothes and things like that. I got me an apartment, and when I was in the apartment, I had a Walmart card table with 2 chairs and things like that, and she'll come and see me with the air mattress. We'll go to sleep on the air mattress and wake up on the floor. It was a rough night or a good night. I don't know. We woke up on the floor. You understand me? But she didn't judge me, man. She stuck by my side. But it was also a challenge for her because she worked at Toshiba. She was a corporate. She came from a corporate understanding. All of her family had corporate jobs if they wasn't in the ministry or pastoring and stuff. So it is really different to deal with a go-getter or somebody like me that's kind of living on the edge, which you consider, because entrepreneurs, you really got to really basically live on that edge, man. It's ups and downs. And so she could have judged me and said, how this Negro talking about housing, but you stay in an apartment with no furniture? You know what I mean? She could have said, I ain't going to deal with that. But she saw something in me, and I saw something in her, and it's been challenges, you know what I mean? Because I ain't no ugly dude. Nah, just it's been some challenge. She ain't no ugly woman. But what I'm saying is that even in the business, you know, it's been challenging to grow. And then as a man, you got to, humble yourself to understand that it's a team effort. And so it's every day I'm learning that God will speak to my wife to tell me. And I can't turn a deaf ear to it because it's a team sport. You know what I mean? And that's the same thing with my wife as well as my team. You know what I mean? I have to also humble myself and listen to my team and see, you know, are we making the right moves and making the right decisions? But then I stay 10 toes down. But once I make a decision, I'm going to stand on it, wrong or right. You know what I mean? And go from there.
When did you realize she was the one?
Whew, man, let me tell you, do you want the real or you want the fake?
I want the real.
Okay, well, I took her to Dallas. I said, hey, Gail, let me talk to you for a minute. We talked before I met her, right? You know, so I'm seeing her on the social media thing, and I'm looking at all these old filter pictures. I'm like, damn, boy, this Gail, you're bad, man. And then I pull her to her house, and I tease her all the time. She came out looking like a chain smoker. I said, girl, man, what the hell? This day she done bamboozled me. What they call it, catfish? I said, damn. Nah, she was looking good. I was teasing. I was like, but you don't look like these filters. Who are you, man, getting this truck? But I told her, man, let's ride to Dallas. And I said, man, you take this trip. I'm going to get you a room. I'm going to get a room and thing. Just ride with me, man. Let's spend some time together. I got to take care of some business out there. And, man, on the trip, every song I put in, she never told me to turn it off. I like R&B. I like that old style. I'm Keith Sweat and everything. Yeah, Jodeci and everything. R. Kelly. She rocking it to me, learning the style and everything. I was, man, okay, all right. I said that's check one. You know what I mean? And we go to the bar, man. I'm in the bar, man. We over here. We at the bar at the hotel and things like that. I go to the bar, I say, yeah, give me a Hennessy on the rocks. That's my drink. And man, I say for the lady, you know, I like to do this for the ladies and stuff like that. When I go to a spot, I'm gonna look a woman in their eyes, make sure that they the finest thing in there. So I'm doing my thing. I'm on my piece of cube. And so I say, yeah, get her what they call Amarillo sour or one of these martinis and stuff. She was like, nah, Negro, give me a Jack and Coke. I said, girl, let me get on my knees right now. I said, she the one. I say, Lord, hey, listen, if she ain't the one right now, Lord, make her the one, man. But it was the I want to say that she de-guarded me. What I mean, like, you know, you have your guards up when you meet somebody and then you want to put up these impressions. I never felt like that. I had to do that for her.
You feel
I felt comfortable with her that she would like me if I came looking crazy because she teased me because I was still starchy arching. You know, she was like, man, nobody don't even wear starchy arching no more. She came in my closet through all this stuff. Man, you got this and ones and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Man, she heard me out, man. She was like, you ain't got no name brand or nothing. Like, I didn't even, you know, I'm country, man. I ain't know. So she like, cultured me and stuff, but you know, I never felt like she didn't hold it over my head like I had to do it. She just was loving me from that standpoint. So that helped me, man, to kind of learn and navigate through our issues and understand it. Then too, having that experience, bro, what I know about marriage now, I didn't know it in the beginning. I didn't know it's about a covenant. So I'm thinking this person supposed to bring me happiness, but happiness comes from within. You know what I mean? So you got to truly be happy so that you can equip her. Then patience come, bro. When you the head, you got to be patient. When you the gorilla, you understand? When you the gorilla, you come in your hood, you the gorilla, you got to operate as a gorilla. You got to operate like you the king of the jungle, right? So you're going to deal with a lot of monkeys and monkey business, but that takes patience. Then you got to deal with some monkey shit that come from your wife. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is that you have to be patient and come from a loving standpoint and not always think that people think like you, have the same perspective as you, or anything like that. And that's a humbling experience to see other people that have from a different perspective. And then you learn that it ain't about right or wrong, and that person might be right. And that's like a slap in the face. You know, even with you being the king, even with you having your chest out and stuff like that, and out here operating the way you do, then you learn and stuff like that. And that's how I handle the streets. That's how I handle my business. That's how I handle things. You have to make moves and understand that, like I was telling y'all with this court case, sometimes it ain't about right or wrong. It's about, are you willing to accept this battle and maybe take this battle as a loss to win the war? You see what I'm saying? And I realize it's coming out of Acres Home, because that's one of my challenges, that people don't, it's hard to see you in a different light as a businessman. Some of my people I grew up with don't see me like a businessman. So they thinking I'm left them behind, or they handle me like that, or they hate on me like that. You know what I mean? People in this world, because I'm not your normal CEO out there and stuff like that. So the way I talk, the way I act, the way I look, and the way I handle business and stuff, they might not allow me in they cliques, you know what I mean, or accept me in those things. So, you know, you guys have to be able to be strong and comfortable with who you are, man. So
how you cope with people hating on you like that?
Man, just with that, man, I realized that I'm learning to accept it and learning that it comes with the territory, because you go through that phase of really, wow, man, people really could care about me. You know what I mean? That they will even go to that measure. I had people, man, on one of my properties, somebody literally tried to burn the property down. And it wasn't no dope fiend. It was somebody went over there with some gas to go over there to try to burn my property, man. And how many cats dealing with that? You see what I'm saying? So I don't know, that part of the real estate people ain't talking about. You know what I mean? That there will be somebody that's hating on you or mad, you know, and then as a contractor, a black contractor, we have a stigma of we always the hustler, or we gonna get you, or we gonna run off with the money, or we gonna do this. So once you get over that type of stuff and things like that, that people don't respect you as a businessman. You know what I mean? And so I try to disarm my clients and disarm people and understand that a lot of people may come with these stigmas. Unfortunately, that's human nature. You see what I'm saying? So that helps me with that mindset, that I learned that they might have all these different things, but it's up to me of the experience that they have with me after you meet me, after you done rock with me, after you done did that. I guarantee that whatever that mindset you're going to have got to, be solid to the way I move. You know what I mean? And then if you got your own impression about the way I move, then that's on you, Doc.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? But after that, then I know you really hating Negro. Then you really got something going on. And I'm gonna be solid. Now we might have disagreements, but I'm gonna be solid with it. But that's the way I handle it, Doc. Just try to keep that mindset. And then too, man, I'm older now. You know what I mean? I really realize that that the first mission that God has called us to as men or as women is our family. I'm talking about our house. You know what I mean? And let me be disciplined about that first, you know what I mean? And take care of that first. And then as God elevate me and bless me, I can be really balling out of control if I didn't elevate my family too. You know what I mean? So my father is my project manager. He works for me. You know what I mean? And he is the best thing that God has blessed me with when other people say that family can't work together. Mm-hmm. Now we have our differences. We gonna butt heads all the time. Yeah. But I thank God that I got a daddy like him. You know what I mean? And that's a blessing. So that's it.
Would you say marriage helped you become successful? And would you encourage men to get married?
Hell yeah, absolutely. You can't, God ain't called us to be alone. Nobody. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think it's our pride that gets in the way of getting connected and connections. You know what I mean? Because as red flags come in business, red flags come in relationships. Mm-hmm. But too many times we in a culture that we want to counsel folk and get rid of folk instead of working with folk. You know what I mean? And so a lot of times we think working with folk is you dummying yourself down or somebody ain't on your level and things like that. But when you start really examining, like I said, understanding people from different perspectives, you can see the blessings and the uniqueness that God created in them and how you need them to get to the next level. You see what I'm saying? Not judging by based on the assets that you might see in materialism, but other assets that they might have. And so I encourage all men to find a good lady and things like that and really examine and make a good decision, but you ain't got to move too fast and too quickly. And it took me a lot of frogs to get to the one, you know what I mean? Or I was the goddamn frog and probably ruined a few of them on my journey. And so it took me a while to get that, that from my head to get right, you know what I mean? But, I still, have love for those, but I thank God that God has blessed me with the woman I have. And yes, she's a part of my success if she didn't did a damn thing in real estate. You know what I mean? But just because she's a part of helping me to minimize the stress and everything else with those romantic nights, But just with the encouraging word that she did. Me talking in the truck, she talking about, did you get your lint roll while I'm waiting on Drake? You know what I mean? Did you do this? Did you do that? And everything. So just those type of things, man, has been a blessing to me, man. And I appreciate it. Yeah. You on this marriage thing? Are you married?
No, I'm not. One day.
You will be. And you got to think like that. And I know that's a thing right now that people are talking about not getting married, but nah, you need married to one woman. And I would say that one woman and everything. Now, things gonna happen in a relationship, but still being able to work with somebody and to be able to forgive is a big thing right now.
How long you think it should take a man to marry a woman? Like if they courting her?
I don't think it's a timing, bro. I know that cat was talking about the 90 days and all those type of things. Man, I think that in this day and time, when you know. And too many times we afraid to make a decision. We want to be stuck in the rat race and be reactive to things that happen. So like I said, if you looking for a whammy, you will find it. I tell my wife, hell, if you looking for something that you want to get mad about, you can go through my phone, but what spirit is in you that you got to come and investigate me like that? Start there. That's the root first. You see what I'm saying? Start the root will make you go out and look at me outside of the king's perspective or something like that. Deal with that root that's in you. And I also have to deal with that root that's in me that's going to look for that and stuff like that. So I don't believe it's a timing situation. I do think that there should be a courting process. You know what I mean? And so in that process, God will reveal that. But I think it starts with having a solid relationship with the Lord first. And then it'll be able to elevate those decisions with you. And so until you find yourself as a man or a woman in God, then yeah, you will be making decisions based on natural shit and all this other type of stuff. And so you eventually gonna have some things. But if you solid with that relationship first, then yeah, all that other's gonna come. Yeah.
What's the most money you made on the flip?
Man, I'd have made, let me see, on a flip or just a real estate deal. A flip, I think about $75,000 to $90,000. You know, on that ceiling flip, I made 90. The interesting part of that deal is that my partner was off the streets. He came to me like, man, I'm finna get in the game too, JB. And this is how I started my business. Started thinking outside of the box of being just a one-man show. He came to me and he bought 3 lots on the dead end of Greenhurst. And he came out there and he built, no construction background, 3 houses. And I think based on them houses, he might have made the same amount of money that I made on that one flip. But that Negro used to call me from Sawgrass High, smoking the dope. His life was totally different. While I'm looking over there like a car washer and everything tired at the end of the day. That taught me something that I needed to learn the game of delegating. You know what I mean? And there's somebody that no construction background, no understanding of real estate, can just get in the game with a hustle and get through the finish line. He taught me a lesson. You know what I mean? But there's not a lot of DeCadro Franklins. You know what I mean? This cat, he unique. But he taught me a lesson on that he didn't have no understanding of the game, but he still got to the finish line. You know what I mean? And I learned from him. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, that's it.
What's the most you made on a wholesale deal?
On the wholesale, man, I say wholesales is tools. And so on wholesale, I don't really try to bust people off the head, but I done gave 15,000 and things like that. I tell people all the time, man, the top of the food chain is a real estate investor and a developer, right? Everything else is a service provider. You see what I'm saying? And then you're not going to find a book. Now these cats want to try to tell you that you're going to find, they're going to write a book or something. But before then, you ain't going to find $1 million wholesaler. Now they done made it like a game where they done saturated the market. You see what I'm saying? So if a wholesaler is making over $20,000 a deal, they done strained the cat of talking about making motivated sellers, right? Because it used to be the game, you're looking for a motivator seller, and they're going to fall in the category of the 4 Ds: death, disease, divorce, or disaster. You see what I'm saying? That would make somebody motivated to sell their property if they're falling those categories. So a wholesaler will get them under contract, right? If you're in a situation, you got to sell. But if a wholesaler making 50, 60, 70, 80,000 on the deal, man, they strong arming. They strong arming the seller. It's not a value added type of situation. And I think like when I'm presented with wholesale deals, man, they mess screwing the game up because they'll come to me to buy their deal and they haven't really done the due diligence. But I understand their business model is just, you know, how many they can do, whatever amount, just get it to the fin line, get people signed up in contract and just do it, make 10, 20,000, you know, and stuff like that. But they're not really examining the deal. So on wholesale deals, man, I don't really want, if I'm using the property to sell it or whatever else, just to unload it and things like that, I might text somebody 10, 15,000, that's it, depending on how well I examine the deal for them and things like that. But that's it, because I want to give everybody an opportunity.
Have you taken a loss on a flip?
I'll be honest with you. I have never not made my money back on a real estate transaction. So from a loss perspective, I have many times did a feasibility study on the project and thought I was going to make this amount and only made this amount. You see what I'm saying? But I have never not got my money back. On a real estate transaction. And I thank God, sometimes I don't even want to say that. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
But up until this point, since I got into the game to where I'm at now, I have never, even with court cases, carrying costs, interest fees, and everything, when I count the costs on my net sheet, I have never not made my money back. And I always came out with some type of profit.
Congratulations.
So, no, thank God to that, man. And it like I said, time and money. Those are the things that you have to balance in determining your deals and back your way into a deal with a winning formula. That's it.
What's the worst tenant you've ever had?
Ooh, I'm dealing with some tenants now. I hope they ain't seeing it, man. So if y'all see me on Hood Discovery or Bowleg or one of these other cases, understand, bro. But check this out, man. when in that 2015, I was telling y'all, man, is that I didn't know that there was people who know the system and know it better than you and spend their time and gaming the system that they really, that's their whole game.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even, being the cat that I am, and I consider, I wouldn't say I'm a street cat or what, but I'm a hood dude, you know what I mean? And the things I've been exposed to, I didn't know that there were people out there that was gaming the system. Man, I had a cat I bought a house, he was renting from me, the rent wasn't nothing but about $500-$700 and stuff like that, and he was having trouble paying the money. Then he would come up with all this game about ownership of the property. Then he would, all this other stuff to make him not pay or whatever else. So then I said, okay, man, I'm finna evict you. We go to court. The dude like, oh man, hold on, Yonder, let me do this here. And the Yonder give him no more time. And then he came to me and like, hey man, I tell you what, I know I owe you $2,000. I ain't paid you in 3 months, but let me give you a $5 on it right now. And I took the $5. Then come to find out because I took the $5, we got to start the whole process back over. Yeah. Then we go over there. Then you got to get the writ of execution. Then he didn't show up. Then we had to go from the district court to downtown because he filed an appeal. Man, this cat stayed in the property, I want to say 1.5 years without really paying me rent, man, before I was able to get him out. And then by the time he got out, he tore the house up and everything else and everything and left all this crap in there. So it cost me even more money. So now I'm learning to identify these things ahead of time. But that's why I tell people good information in the wrong season. I know that it took me a while, like I told you, 2 years to recover because I'm not I don't have the capacity to be a big full-blown landlord right now. You know what I mean? I have a small landlord portfolio as I'm developing the cash flow and the cash reserves as we building this brand. But that's my real estate strategy. You know what I mean?
Did he file a poppers? He filed a poppers?
No, I ain't heard of poppers.
That's when they asked for a poppers to the judge, and then they only have to pay like a portion of what they owe you. It's like 10%.
No, I haven't experienced that type of stuff. No, man, I hope to not experience, but I experienced squatters. I experienced cats that I had to settle with, man, that lied and tried to do adverse possessions.
Oh,
you know
real?
what I mean? Oh, damn. Brother, I had to pay these cats and settle with them. I think I gave them $12,000 just to get out the house that I bought free and clear. And the lady who sold me the house, they moved in the property. They tried to tell the judge that they was owner financing the property from the lady. They was just paying her rent. They knew the game. And just with that, with this lawyer that they had, man, it just took me a long time. And I just wanted to get the house to tear it down, to get it out there, man. I had to pay these people $12,000 just to get them out the house, so there's stuff. That's why I'm glad that they just passed this law. You know what I mean? To get these squatters out, man, because it's becoming crazy. These squatters is becoming crazy. It's a purpose for protections of that. The adverse possession game. I understand that piece because there is sometimes that you might be in those situations, especially in our communities where it's like I told you with the misinformation with my father, because there's a lot of cloudy titles in our areas and stuff like that because of the education and the access and things like that. So there is a purpose for certain things to get it done. But man, bro, as a landlord, people don't understand, and we're not teaching our elders. And another thing I faced is I'm doing a development deal where I had the community, the super neighborhood, come up to the planning commission and fighting me like I was a D.R. Horton or one of these Caucasian builders, like I've been doing this out. But I was just a brother trying to help the community, and a little old lady was fighting me from subdividing the property and really tarnished my brand, for doing the community. And the judge ruled in the community favor of not letting me. So I had this big old lot that I had to do one single family house on because they wouldn't let me develop the property. And so it kind of skewed my numbers. And that was one of the ones where I just, thank God, got my money back and a little bit of profit. You know what I mean? But I was supposed to have a windfall. I was supposed to do like 7 townhouses on the things. And so those are the things I say that people may not talk about in this industry that'll be different than other races. I fought against the city, you know what I mean, and won against the city who came against me about an old 1912 deed that they tried to red tag me and stop me from building. So I learned the game that I learned from all the other mistakes that I made to fight against them and stuff. And so I created my own petition committee and my own community organization in that community on the South Side. So I'm a part of their new super neighborhood now, you know what I mean, in South Acre. So yeah. So those are things that you learn, and that's why I say you never stop learning in this business. So you got to keep an open mind. Yeah. No. Man, these some good questions, man. Y'all doing y'all thing. Y'all must be in the game, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we in the game.
Yes, sir. That's good. Yeah.
We've been doing it for a little while. So.
Oh, that's good, dude. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You got any more
Show me
questions?
some love. Work with me. Nah. Yes, sir.
Where you gonna be at? Where you see yourself in 5 years? Is my last question.
Man, I hope to develop our company to $100 million company and to be in a position to be offered to purchase this side of our business. Like I said, I hope that it's my hopes that I develop this company that we're operating in the major markets real strong, like Dallas, Austin, and San Antonio, and things strongly. And we have a standalone brand that's recognizable from mass development to our spec development and infield development and things like that. And we have these sectors that I'm presented to be purchased to buy it out so I can do my signature line and just do Thibodeau homes. You know what I mean? And so I plan on accomplishing that $100 million mark. And I'm talking about from a standpoint of net proceeds, not just no goddamn gone gross, within these next 5 years, man. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I want that.
Is there anything you want to say to the audience before we close out?
Man, the best thing I could tell the audience is that get out the rat race and get into the game of real estate, right? And whatever means necessary to get into this game, get into the game. Don't be caught up on interest rates. Don't get caught up on red flags. Don't get caught up on loan programs. Get into the game the best way you know how to get in the game. That's JV deals, crowdfunding, whatever it may take to get started. And that's the only way that you can get out the rat race. But once you get started, be humble enough to grow. Don't just stop there because you had some obstacles and stuff like that and have the right mindset. Yeah, JB Thibodeau Homes and Properties, who you building with. Yeah.